So we're October the 12th. It's a Thursday. And it's been 3 days, I think, exactly since I posted my last video. So my silage hasn't arrived yet, but it's on its way. If it hasn't already, I must check now below in the yard. But I was intending on giving them hay above on that upper section, just behind that Galloway there. And I ended up giving them hay, but the silage is coming today, so I moved them down off that upper place, and I have a back fence, so I have them in a smaller cell. This little area here that they're on would have done them a half a day in high summer, I suppose you could call it, high growing season. But at the minute now, with a lot of strong grass on it, I'm going to leave them on this for at least 2 days. So I got 3 days out the upper side there because I had a little bit on the far side of that hedge. But I purposely gave them a smaller area this morning. Now normally I would have put the fence maybe about 5 or 6 yards this side of that hedge there and give them this for the full 24 hours and then silage, because I wanted to give them the silage, or today I was actually going to leave them on the upper side there and give them silage and see could I get another night out of it. But because my silage didn't arrive, I said I'd give them a small little bit of grass, and this evening I'll come back. Yeah, so I don't want them to devour it all in the one day, which they probably will, but at least they'll have silage tonight then to distract them. So that's basically what I'm at now at the minute. So I have slowed the herd completely down, right down. So they're moving at 30% speed from maximum speed. So the maximum I would have been doing or the fastest I would have been doing was 30-day rotation. So I have slowed it right down and I'm trying to push. Now I haven't exactly worked it out. Will it take me 90 days? But I'm on for doing a 90-day rotation with grass, silage and a move. Yeah, so they have nice long grass. I'm allowing them to take it all, because even when they take it all, it only looks like this afterwards. Let me just walk up. So yeah, I never topped this now in a couple of years, and I'm kind of glad I didn't. There was no real need. Them thistles, they'll fall away themselves. But here's Baltimore looking broad and full and content. So as I say, there's lovely green grass here, lots for them to pick on, and it obviously gets less value the lower down the plant it goes. But this is what they have left behind. Now there is plenty soil armour which has been, built up over the year that will keep that ground warm, keep the microbes happy, keep them growing. And even, as I say, if it never grew again, after 90 days that will have been washed by the rain, bleached by the sun, and a little bit of energy will have come back into it and made it more palatable again. The smell of cow saliva, dung and urine, which turns them off, will have gone. So this won't be grazed again until, where are we now? Middle of October, November, December, January, the middle of January. All going well. January, then February, March, April, and then sure, look, we're over the hump then. So that would be amazing. So they're very content here grazing. My calves are doing a lot of under the fence grazing, so they're getting the best of the best at all times. Even though I find it annoying, it kind of suits me. It suits them anyhow. They need that extra bit. The cows are going to start. Last year the cows naturally weaned, they dried up themselves. I'm hoping that that's going to be the situation again this year, but I also want them to take them through the winter time on a little drop of milk. A cupful would do the calves and help the cows through as well, not having to be, well, they won't be, they'll naturally reduce their production as the calves inside grow. So look at that for a blue sky at the minute. Now, since I was on to you last, we had one night's rain, a lot of rain, but a cold front has went through and we have lovely cool weather now. We had frost last night, a white frost on the ground this morning, and our winter coats are ready for it. Even myself has the body warmer on, but they're looking nice and full and hairy. There's a mother and daughter, nice little heifer. She's not big. There's Belle. Belle is actually on the right side of the fence today for once in her life. But she has a nice broad little back on her now. She's a real small heifer. I like small cattle, to be honest with you. A lot of people won't like small cattle, but I like small cattle. Big sheep I want. And she's a big sheep. Yeah. It would take very, 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 very bad land for her to get stuck. But this, as I say, is the driest field of the farm. The previous grazer, let's call it, used to winter cattle on this hill indefinitely. They were fed with feeding rings and they throw bales of silage into it. And there's a lot of ruts and it's very coarse and rough up there. But we will keep these moving. So what I will do is I'm going to go home now and I will come back and I'll open up the silage and bring a trailer load of silage into them. So it'll be one trailer load of silage this evening, and tomorrow I will be giving them 2 feeds of silage, and I will evaluate the situation then and see what grass I have left, what the cows are telling me, whether they're giving out or whether they're content. So I let them do the talking. Here's a nice heifer now as well. She's fat coming into the winter and hairy. And that's the calves over there. So yeah, that is the situation. I'll be back this evening and I'll show you all. So I'm just back from the cattle there now, and I'm up and about to move my new postcode cattle into this little area here. And I decided I would record this because this you might find interesting. Basically the difference between recovery and rest. So the last time I was up here, it was with the 2 bulls, I think, and that black heifer. I can't remember was there any other animals here, but I was rotating them through all this ground here at home. And when Ruby was below with the cattle, Ruby was about to go and I was going to introduce the bulls. So it was right on this fence line that the cattle I had here stopped grazing. So basically they had grazed off this land here last in August, and they were due to go into this little area here, but I never put them in. So this has now been rested. So basically we normally graze off land as soon as it has recovered, as in the grass has fully developed and grown up and out with a perfectly developed point like that. But what I did, hang on, is it out of focus? So yeah, before that starts to go brown on the tip, you want to be getting it, because once that goes brown, I can't see, that's out of focus. Once the tips of the grass start to go a kind of a brownish colour or a yellow colour, you've lost the power in it. So that is the optimal time to hit the grass in this system. However, I didn't do that on this lower side of the field here. So this has been rested, so beyond recovery. So it's ideal at the latter stage, I think, of the growing season, when you're coming into the autumn's end of it, I think, to give it that extra rest. Because once May has passed and into June, when it's gone to seed, it's kind of slow, or it doesn't even go back to seed again, secondly. So you get a lovely kind of deep thatch and a huge amount of soil armour, and it tends to stay very vegetative on the tips. So let me just see. So this was rested 2 months, 60 days, and in here was rested twice that. 4 months, would it be? Yes, because it was 2 months rested before the bulls came off it. So it would have been ready that time, yeah. So maybe at least 3 months anyhow. And to be honest with you, there's very little difference. It's a little bit woollier there. They've ate it all off. Now I have tightened them that little bit more. They're getting a square bale of hay also. So yeah, I just thought that was interesting. So I suppose we don't really notice it on the top. It's what's going on under the ground that makes all the difference. That energy, that extra store of energy in the ground. It'll be interesting to see now, will this lower side recover quicker than the upper side here? I don't know. But that's the difference between recovery and rest. So this lower side was rested. So yeah, let me let these in here. They're anxious to go in. So we'll do it now. If I can manage with one hand, I'll keep videoing. There you go. I can. Fence is off. I'll walk out here. So you can see them rushes now are under serious pressure. Now, come on in. Mad for the grass. So I gave them a half a bale this morning. They got a half a bale last night. There was still a bit of green picking in that area there, so I said I'd let them eat it off. So I am grazing it hard with the backup of a little bit of hay. Now they're very happy to come in here. So I will leave these on this now for 2 days. They will graze all that off tight, and we'll keep an eye on it then to see which area or which side grows back better. Come on, get in. I'll let me walk up this way. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. So to add to that, I'm actually just back into the over-rested place, and you can see, look at the amount of stuff that's on the ground. Look at the height of that. It's still there. That was all trampled down. So we have loads of soil armour here. Unbelievable stuff. Can we go to the bottom of this at all? Let me have a look in here, in fact. So we have lots of, I hope this is in focus, warm castings and lovely cool soil in there. So loads of soil armour. Now let me see what it looks like up on the 60-day rest land. This is not it. This is still that place. Look at that. Loads of gear here. My God. So it looks like they ate loads off, but there's any amount of it left behind. So as I say, when you graze it hard, you're still not grazing it hard, which I think is brilliant. You can see already here also that the lovely green shoots are coming up. It's starting to green here already. So how many days ago was that? 1, 2, it could be 8 days maybe. Yeah, or it might not be, I don't know. Let me jump this fence, it's still off, yeah. Well, let's go up to the top. You can see the green grass definitely coming back here. This was the first little cell they were in. I love watching the difference. You can see exactly where my fence was there. That's the lovely growth that we have. That was obviously the fence line. So that was 2 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. So the growth is definitely still there. So let me just see what we have here. Right, okay, so we have a lot of soil armour here. We have lots of trample still, but not the same density or thickness, I suppose. But not much in the difference. The grass kind of reaches its potential and just kind of sits. So as I say, the the value of doing that rest is basically under the ground, I think, more so than above, even though the volume of stuff is still more here on top than it was up here. But yeah, that's the carry on. I'll go down now. It'll be this evening in about 2 seconds. October the 13th, and look at that. You cannot beat a northerly breeze. It comes a dry breeze and comes a bright sky. Anyhow, I'm very bold. I didn't get back to the cattle at all last night, so I'm only looking at them now this morning, but I've seen them from a distance and they're fine, so they may have been tightened a wee bit on that bit of ground. But I have my bales here and I'm going to open them up and take a look. So this is the first bit of silage that we're going feeding this season, even though we're only Friday the 13th. God help us. Yeah, it is. So let me do this. So as I have mentioned before, I don't make any hay or silage myself. I buy it all in. It's easier to buy a product that comes off land than it is to buy land itself or rent. So basically, them bales are custom made. They were made in the dry weather back in the end of May. So that's first cut silage, wilted and gathered. So it's just almost haylage. So I wanted it good and dry because I only have a small outfit here and I'm scraping it into the trailer myself and feeding it out. So that is ideal. I don't want to be carrying bags of water around the country. So that is lovely stuff. That is the first bale I've opened up this season, and the real test, you can hear them in the background there giving out. The real test will be when the cows get their tongues wrapped around it. So I'm very pleased with that. So I will be back. So yeah, I have just fed them their silage and I'm just looking now at how the grass did them while they were here. I was meant to feed them late last night and I didn't. I was actually down in the bog bringing home turf. Now they didn't go mad overgrazing. There's still a little bit of picking because it has that green hue off it. So I've given them a full trailer load, as you saw, of silage, real nice quality stuff. This was cut and baled the best time this year ever. You can see lovely seeds there in that and them grasses. So this is the first taste of silage for the winter season, even though it's autumn, on the 13th of October. And our little family group here, mother, daughter and son, heading off somewhere else. But just to finish off what I was talking about earlier in the video about recovery and rest. The great thing about rest is that we just like to change up treatment of land at different times of the year, in different years, and constantly changing things up and not having a pattern. The biggest rule of regenerative agriculture is having no rules, but the biggest rule, if you want to have a rule, is that we never repeat the same thing over and over and over again. I think that's called really the definition of madness, I think. So if you're to fertilise a field, cut silage off it, fertilise the field, cut silage off it for 40 years and then wonder why it doesn't grow without fertiliser, I think we've just exhausted that field. So if we can treat different fields in different ways, in different years, even though if we kept it at the vegetative state and hit it every time it was fully recovered, yes, it would do well, but it's great to give the land and the grasses a little bit of shock treatment. Because I believe it's intelligent. I definitely believe there's a kind of a consciousness in the soil that understands what's going to happen to it, and it will not exhaust its resources if it realises, so I'm just going to be mowed off now shortly, I'm not going to do much more. But if you don't eat it or mow it off or graze it off, it kind of tends to do things differently, I believe anyhow. So if that makes sense, it does. If it doesn't, we'll talk again another time. But yeah, so We are now on winter mode, feeding our silage. The cattle are quiet, the sky is blue. I'm going to really take advantage of these nice sunny conditions and slow the herd right down. And each day is a day less of winter. So at the end of the day, we've only to feed these cattle for 365 days. So every day gained is a day less to worry until the next season. So by slowing them down now, I should be able to have grass when I badly need it, coming to the Christmas and after the Christmas. So yeah, I will leave it at that. Friday the 13th October 2023. So for now, I will say good luck and goodbye.